Welcome to Talking Giants presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick, and we've got ourselves a jam-packed episode, which means it's packed, and then we have to jam it in a little bit. We're going to do our 53-man roster predictions with a little hint of what we want. We've got the Giants have new uniforms. The Giants are going to be on off-season Hard Knocks, and we had the schedule release, so we got a lot. And Justin, the softball game is this Saturday. The celebrity softball game. If you haven't got your tickets yet, get them. We filled out our box, which I'm really excited about that. Really excited to send over the donation, thanks to the Talking Giants listeners. And just excited to see everyone there. Like, if you see us, say hello. It'll make our day. Justin, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Really excited for this Saturday. Thanks to everybody for helping us filling out that box. If you're going to be in the box with us, really excited to hang out with you. And even if you're just going to be at the softball game, I am excited to see you as well. And yeah, I mean, for a middle of May, just a basic schedule release. I don't know if you mentioned in the top, the Giants are having those alternate red, weird, ugly uniforms that does do a good job of honoring history. Even got that to talk about. So for a middle of May episode, jam-packed, like you said, I'm excited for it. I'm really excited for the off-season Hard Knocks, by the way. And I'm also interested and waiting to be disappointed by it.
Yeah, you're going to be disappointed. Let's talk about the schedule release at the top. The Giants are just not like in a good spot right now, roster-wise. So like any schedule for the most part is going to look difficult, especially this year, right? You're playing the AFC North, which, arguably the best division in football. Then you have even like the AFC alternate, right? The Colts. Like the Colts are a talented up-and-coming team. When you have to play Dallas and Philly twice a year, it's just... And even bad as they were last year, they finished third place. So they're playing the third-place teams instead of last-place teams. But we can kind of go in order. Vikings at home week 1. First 1 o'clock Sunday home opener or just opening game for the Giants since 2018 versus the Jags. Usually they put us at bare minimum at 4:30 on Sunday. I was actually surprised to see that when I was putting some notes together on this. I want to win that game so bad. One, Justin, the Giants just do not win week 1. It's so frustrating. Like, even if they win 5-6 games, make week 1 one of them, right?
Yep.
Give us 1 week of just the excitement of being a winning team. And they've only done it twice in the last 2 years, which coincides with their 2 playoff berths, 2016 and 2022. So just win week 1. And I hope J.J. McCarthy starts. I want to make J.J. McCarthy look bad because of my own draft analysis and the Giants situation with it. It won't be indicative of his career, obviously. So you can't, even if he does play horribly, you can't judge him off a week 1 game. But I want to make him look bad. I want to have at least that little moment of victory. And just winning week 1 is the most fun week to win outside the playoffs.
Love that week 1 is home. The last time that the Giants won their week 1 game outside of, you said 2016, it was 2022, and I literally flew down to Nashville and I willed that team to victory. You're welcome. So I will be there in attendance to try to will them to victory. I was there last year. Forget about that. I don't remember it. Dude, I think a week 1 victory, what it did for us in 2022, not to get, too, dramatic about it, but I really think it kind of set the tone for the year. Day balls of steel, Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones making plays down the stretch, doing enough to win those close games, right? I think it set the tone for what that entire year was going to be and what it was about. A kind of a resurgent New York Giants football team. So win week 1. Hopefully it can set a tone. The Vikings are going to be a really interesting litmus test. Hey, Justin Jefferson and Deonte Banks. Deonte Banks, you ready to be a CB1, buddy? Brian Flores versus this new look Giants offensive line. I think schematically will be a really, really tough test, possibly outside of the Jimmies and Joes. I think schematically... It'll be interesting
because Flores starts slow, tradition as a coach. Their defense was awful to start the season. You remember in Miami, those 2 years, like the year 1, they were like, is this the worst team we've ever seen? And then year 2, they started off, like 0-7 or something like that before winning like 7 straight games?
Yeah, but I think from a schematic standpoint, forget that, we're going to go up against Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons later on in the season. But schematically, like that is going to be a really interesting test for how good that Giants offensive line is from the get-go, because they even had a higher blitz rate last year than Wink Martindale. So I'm excited. You mentioned J.J. McCarthy. Let's win week 1.
Yeah. Hey, here's something. Get your offensive line starting group set early in camp and stick with it and let them get ready for Minnesota. Because like you said, they're going to have a lot of shit thrown at them. And if they are off pace, not on the same page, it's going to lead to some disaster stuff.
Yeah.
We saw just like basic stunts that Dallas was throwing at them week 1 that really struggled. Then you had the Commanders week 2. That's obviously like one of the more winnable games on the schedule. One of the 5 teams that had a worse record than the Giants last year. Jaden Daniels is new. Some new talent over there with Dan Quinn, but that's winnable. And then that week 3 to 8 stretch is tough. And that's why starting out 2-0 would be so sick. Because if you can steal one of those, one of those 6 games, right? Then you're 3-5, which is a lot different than 2-6, or you maybe still like you have at Browns. The Browns defense is still going to be really good. Their offense is bad, so that's a winnable game. But the Browns are just obviously a tier ahead. Thursday night Dallas, that doesn't look pretty. At Seattle's a pretty damn talented team with some new coaching over there. Sunday night football Bengals, that's tough. Philly, I think Philly's going to bounce back this year. And then at Pittsburgh, obviously Pittsburgh offensively is not in a good spot, but defensively they're a good team, and they're a team that scrapes out wins. So you play some really talented teams in that next stretch. And like you said, if you start 2-0, that does kind of change the mindset of the team, where we would have looked into 2022 and looked at the Green Bay Packers, the Baltimore Ravens as teams like, not beating them. But, if you steal 2 of them, then you're 4-4. So, the beginning of the season is obviously pretty key for how the season turns out. But, and then we play in Germany, Justin. We play the Panthers in Germany. Very happy for the German Giants fans, and hopefully there becomes new Giants fans. Shout out at Big Blue Germany. Go give them a follow on Twitter. I'm going to celebrate that win like it's the Super Bowl, Justin. Because it's the rare time where I'm going to let the Twitter reaction change something I do. The Panthers are the worst team in the NFL. The Giants are a better team than the Panthers. Do the Panthers look at the Giants as winnable? Absolutely. But they are the worst team in the NFL, and the Giants are better than them. And I have no fear in saying that. So I'm going to celebrate that win like it's the Super Bowl, because it's the one team on this schedule that I can say we're better than them. Clear cut, we are better than the Carolina Panthers, and if we lose to them, it's a travesty. And now I'm going to celebrate it like it's a Super Bowl, because I got so much pushback on being better than the fucking Panthers. The team that Panthers wins last year, too. Tommy DeVito Pepsi Rookies of the Week last year, too. Tommy DeVito, I tweeted all this stuff, but I'm going to say it again on the podcast. Tommy DeVito won more games in a 3-week span than the Carolina Panthers did all last season. And guess what? They didn't have their own first-round pick. The Panthers stink, and I'm going to celebrate beating them at 9:30 in the morning like it's the Super Bowl.
And then we'll have a great day afterwards. The Giants are also undefeated.
It's going to be a great day. It's going to be Super Bowl 42, Super Bowl 46, beating the Panthers at 9:30. That's going to be my top 3 Giants games of all time right there.
Giants are also undefeated in international games.
Absolutely. Now, I'm hopeful. If they do lose this, we're just going to say they're undefeated in England. But we're going to win it, and we're going to be undefeated in international games. People forget about that.
They do.
You get the Week 11 bye. The Bucks at home, then Thanksgiving. We played Dallas on 2 Thursday night games, by the way, which is great. We get to enjoy losing to Dallas for a 10-day stretch.
You had a really funny tweet of why, this is another Thanksgiving that we won't be able to.
I love Thanksgiving. You just get to hang out, spend time with your family, and enjoy the day. And now I have to work and also explain that the reason it's not fun to work on holidays, unless it's Christmas, because I hate Christmas and I like everyone being miserable with me. But I'm thinking the Bucks is going to be the game that I go to this year, right? Coming off I'm thinking that's what it's going to be. Coming off the bye week. And Thursday football game means quick turnaround. So, I don't need to put the O-line report and film review will be a little less, priority that week. So I'm thinking that might be my game I go to this year, is the Tampa Bay game.
Okay.
Which the date of that would be November 24th. End of November, get a little coldness out there. I was debating between that and then the Saints could be one, right? That's December 8th. But I'm thinking Tampa. What do you think?
I think Tampa's doable. I actually think Baker could take a step back this year. since he lost his offensive coordinator last year. Yeah.
The people know I'm undefeated in Giants games I attend.
That's why we need to pick one that the Giants have a shot at winning at.
Which I feel like Tampa is that. Obviously,
I agree.
Tampa is better than the Giants on paper right now, but that's a winnable game for the Giants.
I agree.
Then Thanksgiving, I'm still thinking Zach Holton, the guy started podcasting with Simple Man Radio. He's a Colts fan,
right.
So I might try and swing the Week 17 Colts game if he goes, but that would probably be a game time decision. I'm not going to plan that one out.
Dalton Feely's coming with me to that Colts game.
Yeah, so now we have this newfound rivalry with the Colts. Hey, Justin, remember the last time the Giants played the Colts in Week 17, the Eagles in Week 18? Do you remember what happened?
Best days of my life where we just kicked the shit out of them, clinched a playoff game, and then Kenny Galladay caught a touchdown pass the next week.
Yeah, so people forget, the signs are everywhere.
Yeah.
Anything else from the schedule that you got? I know I've kind of just walked through it, basically.
The joke that you said on social media basically is for Thanksgiving. Sorry, guys, I can't have Thanksgiving dinner with you. I need to go on a podcast and explain why the Giants' corners are bad at defending the run and why we just allow 200 rushing yards. It wasn't exactly the joke that you said, but I got the gist of it. It was pretty funny. Basically, my thing with this schedule is it seems to just go in waves, where you have week 1 and week 2 are winnable games, and then, like you said, week 3 through, I'll even say week 7. I think we can beat the Steelers, but even week 8 on the road is tough.
But the Steelers have a lot of talent on that defense.
Yeah, for sure. They have a good. I even think their offense could be better under Arthur Smith. But this schedule just goes in waves, where you have that week 1 and week 2, week 3 through week 8, the Commanders through the Bucks, and then that final stretch of the season is really, really tough. And the only saving grace is that you have the Saints at home, and thank God we're not on the road against them. So the highs can't get too highs, and the lows hopefully can't get too low. And I'm going to put an emphasis on, hopefully, if we're in the middle of a 2-game losing streak, let's try and not make that 5 games. That's going to be the main gist of the schedule release for me.
Can we not start 1-5? It feels like every single year besides 2022, we're starting out the season 1-5, or sometimes 0-5, and then the first win comes in week 6.
Yeah. Excited for week 1.
Let's start the season 3-3. That would feel pretty damn good. So anything else on the schedule?
No. 9 home games.
Hard Knocks. The Giants are on off-season Hard Knocks, which will be pretty interesting, which supposedly, like, the minute the season ended, Hard Knocks had access, right? The season ended, Hard Knocks now has access to the Giants. Justin, you got very excited about this. I want to let you tell everyone why you're so excited about this.
All right, so here's the thing.
Don't do the devil's advocate. Tell me why you're excited, and I want to tear you down.
I'm a fan of this team, right? I'm a fan of the New York Giants. And I had people, even including one on Twitter, Ryan Dunleavy, who did it publicly, being like, "Oh, you're a schmuck for believing you're going to get anything out of this." And we had another beat reporter text us saying, kind of like shaking his head, like, "Why are you getting excited over this?" I am a fan of this football team, and when I initially thought that it was going to be the training camp version of it, which it's not, by the way, this is the off-season version. That's new. This is a new thing. I got, all right, whatever. John Mara's reluctant. The NFL finally had to just stick it to him, and he lost that battle. It'll be cool to see Dable. It'll be cool to see the players, whatever. Then I heard it's the offseason, and I'm like, I am in. The Giants' offseason was made for television. Was made for it. Wink Martindale's departure, where he literally didn't show up for a whole week after he quit, but didn't formally resign. There was the whole battle of he wants to get paid, so he wants the Giants to fire him, and, Dable and him hated each other. That is made for television. Saquon Barkley and Xavier McKinney negotiations, or even just highlight Barkley leaving, made for television. The trade for Brian Burns, a major move followed by a contract extension, made for television. Prospect interviews and behind-the-scenes draft process, and getting to see the process and different types of staff members and what they do, how they contribute, Dennis Hickey, all that stuff. That's going to be so fun. That's like more of like the niche stuff, not even just made for television. And then trying to trade up for Drake May. I am so excited to see what is shown, what they can show, and as of now, I am pumped for it. And just like anything with this football team, I will be disappointed when the final product is not what I think it is.
Well, here's the thing. I am excited for it too, right? And we're going to do live streams after. I don't even like revealing that because I think, actually, you know what? Fuck it. We're doing live streams after each episode. So I'm excited because it's going to be cool access regardless, right? Is it going to be that here's where I'm going to pull back on you, but I'm also going to agree with you on something. Here's what you're going to get. You're going to get some stuff on Saquon Barkley, right? That is tame enough where you might get Marin's reaction. Like, you're going to get some stuff on the Burns stuff. They're proud of that. So you're going to get a good amount of stuff on the Brian Burns trade. The Wink stuff, you may get some of that, but it's going to be so tame. And here's what you're not going to get anything on. You're going to get nothing on trying to trade it for Drake May. This is the team that leaked out that they were, no, they were actually trying to trade up for Joe Alt. Like, think about how dumb of a decision it would have been to trade pick 6, 47, and a 2025 first for Joe Alt. But they leaked that out just to be like, oh, no, we didn't actually want to replace Daniel Jones. We really wanted Joe Alt. We wanted to protect. So you'll get nothing on Drake May. Wink, I actually think you may get some at Wink because it's going to be hard for them to totally ignore that. So you'll get some Saquon stuff, the Burns trade, the Neighbors pick, Daniel Jones rehab, and you'll probably get like a Tommy DeVito autograph event.
I think they got to give. So here's my main question.
The Mays, you're not going. I will bet you $200 right now. You will get Drake May's name will not be mentioned by any Giants employee one time.
You're in the draft room. The cameras are rolling nonstop.
Yeah, but they have Final Cut.
They do, and that's my question. Who has, like, is it John Mara and the Giants, or is it HBO and the NFL?
They have Final Cut, right? Like, they're asked to not be like dictators with it, but any type of like strategy that they're trying to do, they're not going to put out there.
All right, well then, again,
and
just
especially when it's for trading it for a quarterback that they didn't end up getting done.
Just like anything with this team, I'm going to be excited. I'm going to think that it's going to happen. I'm going to think that we're going to get access to it. And then when it doesn't happen, I'm going to be disappointed by it.
I think it's going to be good regard. I think Hard Knocks, even when teams have been like awful with them, have done a good. I think it's a pretty entertaining show. Even when like the Jets wanted no part of it, and I thought they did a pretty good job. Yep. Like, they put on a good product, so I think it's going to be good. I'm excited for it.
And I think we're going to like it even more because we're fans of the team, and we know, especially if you're a really in-depth fan, like, you're going to know who these. Some of these scouts are, some of these front office people are. You're going to know who these guys are, and to see them on camera with their personalities, I think that's going to be the thing. Even if it's not a fun product to the NFL fan, I think we're just going to like it regardless.
The flip side of that could be that we know them so well that we're going to be like, oh, we already knew this type of stuff, and the general NFL fan will be like, this is like, have you ever watched a documentary on something that you knew a lot about, and you're like, this documentary fucking sucks. They left out so much.
Yes.
But if you knew nothing about it, you're like, oh, this is like the Florida Gators, like Untold Stories. That was the worst documentary I've ever seen in my life. They left out everything good. But if you had no knowledge of that, you'd be like, this is a good doc. Like, this is fun.
Yeah.
So that's where you, like, remember the Joe Judge on that Sean McVay podcast? Everyone was so excited for him. He was like, oh, I've heard every single one of these stories before, but other fans hadn't. But I'm excited for the Tommy DeVito autograph event. All right, new uniforms. They are doing their they're doing their uniforms from the 1930s, which are ugly, Justin. But I'm a fan of history, so I'm fine with it as a 1-year thing. I don't have much to add on this. Besides, CT ESPN report was true, which Deontay Banks and Wandale like quote tweeted being like, no. So they are ugly, but I like them as a 1-year basis because I like history, and this is the 100-year anniversary. If you want to blame anyone, blame the jersey designers from the 1930s.
I just don't like the pants.
Me either. They're ugly, but they're historic. It's like the Bumblebee Steelers or those weird like you're honoring history. Yeah. They're ugly.
The helmets are cool.
They had bad taste in the 30s.
The helmets are actually pretty cool. But I took a picture of my khakis from like Target, my tan khakis from Target, and I'm like, oh my god, look, the Giants sent me a replica of the pants that they're going to be wearing this year, and I also thought that was a funny joke. I laughed at it. The jerseys
the 30s weren't great. We had the Great Depression.
30s weren't
racism was rampant, and then the NFL jerseys were just awful.
I think they should actually wear the exact helmets too.
Yeah, I had that thought. It's like, think about all the rules now, and they were just like, here's some leather. Here's some Crown Vic seats to put over your head. All right, Justin, why don't you talk to us about something before we get into our 53-man roster predictions with a dash of what we would do?
That's right. Well, why don't we talk about something? Thank you so much for SeatGeek for sponsoring this show and being the presenting sponsor of the show. Baseball is back, and SeatGeek is hooking us up with a new special offer. Everyone can use code GIANTS10 for 10% off any tickets on SeatGeek, whether you're a new customer or not. I'm getting in on that. I actually want to go to the Eli Manning bobblehead game. Speaking of Giants 100, the Eli Manning bobblehead game in early August. Bobby, I think that's going to be around the same time that Giants training camp is going to be happening.
I think so too. So maybe we will go. This time we won't drive.
Yeah.
Driving out of there was awful.
Finally,
I just said I'm not looking at. I just stopped looking. If we would have used Google Maps, it would have taken us another 2 hours. Finally, me who had no knowledge of like the roads of New York City and New Jersey, I finally just said I'm making a turn. I'm making a turn and driving 2 miles and then seeing what the GPS tells me.
And we're going to use code GIANTS10 on SeatGeek to make sure that we get 10% off our tickets when we go get Eli Manning bobbleheads. And even, you can go to concerts. Drake, Hozier, Bad Bunny, they're all on tour. Remember when Bad Bunny went to Yankee Stadium? And that's where Bobby and I learned that Bad Bunny is a man. You already know that SeatGeek is the best place to get all your tickets. No matter how many times you've bought tickets using SeatGeek before, GIANTS10 is going to get you 10% off your next order. So take out your phone, open the SeatGeek app, and add code GIANTS10 to your account. What are you waiting for? Do it now because the offer is only available for a limited time. Code GIANTS10 for 10% off your next order. Bobby Skinner, I'll be glad I did, and certainly you'll be glad you did.
You'll be glad you did. Zach texted me. DraftKings or SeatGeek is supposed to get me a suite at some point, remember?
Was this Zach, your Simple Man Radio Zach? Or
Zach Holton, the Colts fan.
Okay.
Remember we were trying to bully DraftKings or SeatGeek to get me a suite to an Orlando Magic game because they gave you one to the Giants game and I didn't get to go?
Yeah, that was it was the Jake Fromm Cowboy game.
Yeah, you got give us a suite for the Colts game, DraftKings. That would be really cool if you guys could do that again. So let's leave this, let's use DraftKings. If enough people use the promo code DraftKings, get us in that suite.
Well, it's promo code WORLD for DraftKings.
Promo code WORLD. Use promo code WORLD to send Bobby and his friend Zach to a suite. Maybe Justin won't even get to go in. That would be the funny thing
that's what I just thought. Not even me.
Yeah, just me, my fiance Zach, and his wife, and Justin can sit in his seats.
Yeah, where I belong.
From SeatGeek. But those are going to be good seats that SeatGeek gives you. Green means good, red means bad.
That's right. 53-man roster.
Let's do our 53-man roster. I was going to do a transition. It's all right, so there's 53 guys that make the roster. So in the 90 men on the Giants roster right now, we're going to cut them down to 53. So how we're going to do this is a what we would do, but with a dash of there's nothing that we're going to do that's going to be just outlandish. That's absolutely not going to happen, right? We're not going to say, Marcellus Johnson is going to make the team over Jermaine Eleanor. Why would we do that anyways? But so offense, Justin, we always start with quarterback. For the first time, this is a legit question. Are you keeping 2 or 3 quarterbacks?
I'm keeping 3 because I'm unsure about the health of QB1.
I'm keeping 2 with Daniel Jones and Drew Lock. I just don't like keeping 3 quarterbacks on the roster.
I don't either, but
it's
I'm
as simple as that with me.
But I'm very convinced that Tommy DeVito would be signed to another team.
And do you have a great fear of that happening?
No, not necessarily, but for the circumstances that we're in with Daniel Jones and the whole health clause and the injury clause of next year, which again we have to have a beat reporter on to get more of a full explanation on. There may be a point this year where Daniel Jones is hurt, or the Giants are at a point where they don't want to play Jones because they don't want to guarantee him $33 million next year. I'm keeping 3 quarterbacks on the roster.
Yeah, it's fair. I did think about it as well.
I don't like to, but
Daniel Jones will be ready to go for training camp, and I'm just gonna keep 2, right, and hope that like Tommy DeVito is not some team's backup, right? Like he'll probably get some money offered to him to go to other teams' practice squads, but like last year, his best bet is probably to stay with the Giants, like that, and that includes off the field incentives as well. So I'm not unless a team's signing him to be a backup, I'm fine with that. But so I've got 2 QBs, you got 3 quarterbacks, and Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, and then you have Tommy DeVito. No Nathan Rourke love in this. Running back, another like, hey, you could keep 3 or 4. Devin Singletary's a lock. Tyrone Tracy Jr. is a lock. And then I have Eric Gray as number 3. I don't think Eric Gray's like 100% lock, but I think he's pretty confidently in there. Did you keep a 4th? Did you keep someone for special teams? Does Gary Brightwell play out his entire rookie contract with the New York Giants? 3 or 4 backs?
I have 3, and Gary Brightwell is out. Eric Gray in.
Eric Gray in. So Eric Gray could be a surprise cut if we go into camp, Justin, and go through preseason, and he just hasn't improved as a blocker, right? That is where you could be like, okay, sorry, we're cutting this investment because we just can't put you on the field. We do not have Saquon Barkley here anymore. Tyrone Tracy Jr. is a 5th round running back as well as you are, so you can't put the most faith in the world in him. We're letting you go. But even then, even if they were at the point, I think they would just keep a 3rd. I think they would just keep 4 backs over getting rid of Eric Gray if they were put in that situation. Like if they just didn't feel comfortable with him as RB3, they would just make him RB4 and keep him on the roster. But I feel like it's pretty simple. But none of the other so I put together a pool of 19 players to get I just put together ones I was confident in, and then I had 7 spots left. I put together a pool of 19 players. Running back was the only position where I'm like, I'm not even entertaining this pool of players. Like edge, I have 3 guys: linebacker 2, corner 3, safety 1, D-line 1, QB 1 with DeVito, wide receiver 3, tight end 2, interior offensive line 2, offensive tackle 1. So that's where I was at with that. Wide receiver. This is always a tough one because you can keep 4 or 5, or you could keep 7. Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Jalen Hyatt are locks to make the roster, Justin. That's 4. Who else do you have on this wide receiver group?
I have Isaiah McKenzie and Isaiah Hodgins.
As do I. Isaiah Hodgins, I know that you want your wide receiver 5 to contribute to special teams, but I do think he's a good backup wide receiver, and I don't want to just get rid of him. He's going to be on a cheap contract. If Darius Slayton gets injured, now you have Malik Neighbors as your that alpha wide receiver. Wan'Dale's a slot only, and then we still have yet to see Jalen Hyatt develop truly as a route runner. He gives you a red zone threat. He had 3 touchdowns last year, which I think was second most on the team last year to Darius Slayton. So I like to keep him. And then Isaiah McKenzie, I'm keeping Justin because 1, he's just a true slot. So you have just a true backup slot to Wan'Dale Robinson, and the return, the special teams ability.
Yeah, my plan is Isaiah McKenzie is kick returner, punt returner, and then also Tyrone Tracy can be used as a kick returner, punt returner. And then that's, believe it or not, I love my guy Gunnar Olszewski.
I kept Gunnar, so Gunnar is my 7th.
Oh, okay. So you did keep 7.
I mean, he had a punt return for a touchdown. He didn't have any muff punts with Giants. I'm keeping him.
I know. Right? I love him. He had his first game where it was raining. This wasn't a trend, but his first game, I'm like, oh my God, this guy doesn't wear any sleeves. He has a tattoo on his left shoulder. He's a white guy, and he catches punts without gloves on. I said, this is my favorite player. So it was tough for me to leave him out, but McKenzie can just do both, and I have Tyrone Tracy as a draft pick here, so he can kind of do it too. So you're
doing the Eric Gray mistake again.
I'm doing what Eric Gray. Oh, that he's going to return. Well, I mean, I actually am a little bit more confident that Tyrone Tracy can do it, I guess. We'll see in camp. This is why we go through training camp.
Yeah, I would just keep Gunnar Olszewski just because I actually valued that position a little more now.
I mean, he can make it to the... Is he eligible for the practice squad?
No.
No, he's
Actually,
not,
yes, everyone's eligible for the practice squad now.
Okay, so I think, hey, he
And
would
that's
be
how he started with the Giants, I believe.
he would be a make it to the practice squad guy there, because he is actually why he's he's in one of my last 3 out.
Okay. But so I have 7 receivers with Neighbors, Slayton, Robinson, Hyatt, Hodgins, McKenzie, as do you, and then I have Gunnar Olszewski, so you have 6. Tight end. This one was actually tough. One, because the bottom of this might have been like the toughest one. And let me ask you this. Is Darren Waller on yours?
Yeah, because he's on the team, but Bobby...
Yeah, I know, me too. But I did think about being like, you know what? This is with the dash of what we would do. I am strongly in the camp of let Darren Waller go if he decides to come back.
I am too, man.
Save that $6 million. He's going to miss games no matter, even if he's 100% in, he's going to miss games. But 2, he's clearly not going to be 100% in, and he's a negative as a blocker, right? And so if he's going to miss half the games, if he's not going to be 100% all in, which means being the best wide receiving threat that he can be, he's the negative blocker. I want to save that $6 million, right? We're not in a win at all cost mode. I'm in strongly, and I hope Darren Waller's not on the team next year. Where when the retirement news first came out, I was a little 50-50. I'm now strongly in, like, he's going to miss games. This is not a season where the Giants are going to be competing to make it deep in the playoffs or make the playoffs at all. Save that $6 million. They need that money.
Yeah, and also, if they didn't draft Theo Johnson, then I'd be, all right, Waller can stick around. But the fact that you have Theo Johnson, I still think Bellinger is a fine, serviceable player who is an advantage blocking. He could be an H-back. You can kind of line him up wherever. He could be that pass blocker if you need him. And Theo Johnson can also do a lot of that stuff too. So if we didn't take Theo Johnson, then I'm like, yeah, Waller on the team. Are you mentally here? Are you not mentally here? Whatever. We'll just have you here. But now that Theo Johnson's here, and there's for tight end 3 on this team, I kind of feel okay about it for the options that we have. So I'm all on, like, all right, Darren Waller, even if you decide to try and get your bag and you want to be here, at this point I'm like, you were supposed to make this decision a while ago. I'm willing to get him out.
You said soon in the beginning of March.
Yeah.
Yes. We're now approaching June. OTAs, start this, in 3 days from when this episode comes out. So I'm in that too, but we did both put him on here, right?
Yeah, he's on because
at the end of the day, he does give you plus value when he's on the field. It's just, is he going to be on the field? How much? But he gives you negative value as a blocker. I'm keeping so Daniel Bellinger and Theo Johnson are the other 2. I'm keeping 4 tight ends. Chris Manhertz's blocking to me is impressive. And that's a guy who's lasted in the NFL for a long time in that role. He is a blocking only. You're not going to give him anything besides a couple like tight end leak plays. Chris Manhertz is making this roster, and I feel strongly about it.
Yeah, I have him too, and then I have Jack Stoll. I have in parentheses Jack Stoll if Waller retires or is cut.
Okay, so that's a good question. If Waller's not here, you're keeping 4 tight ends as well with Jack Stoll?
Yeah, I'm keeping 4.
Same. So would I. I would keep 4 tight ends with Jack Stoll, Chris Manhertz, Bellinger, and Theo Johnson. Just honestly, the biggest reason why is because I like the bottom of that depth more than I do other positions. So I'd rather keep those guys.
And also, you have 2 young guys at the top, and you have some veteran presence at the bottom. Good for the tight end room, stuff like that.
Offensive line. Let's go through tackle first. Thomas, Neal, and Elmanor. Let's just go through the locks with offensive line, and then we can go through it. Thomas, Neal, Jermaine, Elmanor are locks. John Runyon is a lock. I would think Josh Azudu. We both have Josh Azudu, right?
Yeah.
And then JMS is a lock. So that leaves 6 guys. After that 6, how many do you have?
I mean, Stinny's a lock, right?
I don't think that's a lock.
I have him on there.
I also have Aaron Stinney, but I don't think someone who's just been bad their entire career is a lock.
Well, he's started games, and that's not something that a lot of people can say consistently. Then I have Austin Schlottman because I just want a center. So that's
last year they just did not have a backup center unless you truly thought J.C. Hassenauer was making the team. But like Stinney started 12 games in his career, and 11 were last year, and he wasn't good in them.
I have
30 years old. Like I don't think
here.
he's a lock. I think he's a good shot because of the Giants' position, and I also have Schlottman in there. So Schlottman and Stinney the two you have outside of those other six?
Yeah, I mean, who's outplaying Stinney? Is Jalen Mayfield outplaying him? Is Marcus McKeithen outplaying him? Jimmy Morrissey?
No, and I have
Jay
Marcus
Kubas?
McKeithen as a cut, even though people don't like cutting draft picks. I have Matt Nelson as a fourth tackle. Because of what the hell are they going to do with Eleanor? Because Thomas and Neal both have injury history, I'm keeping Matt Nelson, who was a backup for the Lions.
Matt Nelson was one of my last three out. So I had him on here, but then I took him off. I took him off because, again, in my brain, I am approaching it as Jermaine Elemunor is going to be the week 1 starter at right tackle and Evan Neal is going to be on the bench. That's how I want it to go down. As my camera falls down.
But I have Matt Nelson just because of the injury and what is going to happen. Like,
yep.
We don't know exactly what the plan is, which we'll find out next week.
But again, if this is what I want, 53-man roster projection, then my starting lineup is Jermaine Elemunor right tackle, Aaron Stinney at right guard, or whoever, an open competition at guard. Maybe this is another Ben Bredesen situation back when Dave Gettleman initially signed him, and we get a guy off of the 53-man cutdown day, and Evan Neal's the swing tackle. And if Thomas goes down, then Elemunor slides to the left, and Evan Neal goes back to right tackle. That's my plan. So that's why I don't have Matt Nelson here.
I also forgot the Giants didn't re-sign Tyree Phillips off the injury. Which makes sense. If you're going to sign him, wait till he's healthy. Bring him in for a workout and see how he looks. But I reminded me. So
that's
going
to be a lot of fun. Can't wait for the Carmen Brasillo and Brian Dable and Joe Shane all present for offensive line workouts after practice and camp. Ready for that?
Yeah. So I have 9. You have 8 offensive linemen. So why don't you just give me what you would do starting lineup? And then your backups.
Yeah, I already said Andrew Thomas left, John Runyon left guard, JMS center. We have Aaron Stinney / open competition at right, and then we have Jermaine Elemunor at right tackle. Evan Neal is a backup. Josh Azudu is also a backup, and then Austin Schlottman is your backup center.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Obviously, I hope Neal wins the right tackle job, and then I have Matt Nelson as a backup tackle. All right, so offense. Offense, the only differences me and you had is I had Matt Nelson and Gunnar Olszewski, and you had Tommy DeVito, and who else? Oh, you only have how many players on offense? You have 24?
I have 24.
Okay, so I have 25 players on offense. So you had Tommy DeVito, I didn't, and then I had Matt Nelson and Gunnar Olszewski, you did. All right, so defense. That means you got 26.
Yep.
Edge, which I kind of knew that the edge 4 was an issue, but the fact that edge 3 is a better spot than it has been in past years, it made me forget. Thibodeau, Burns, and Ojulari are locks. Did you just keep it with 3 edges, or did you pick a 4th?
No, I have 5.
You have 5. Okay, we're two of the 5 and the last 5 in, or last 4 in.
My last 3 in is my last edge guy here. But honestly, I don't really love having I have only 4 interior defensive linemen. I could easily take one of my 5th edge and make it my 5th interior defensive lineman.
I have 5 interior defensive linemen, and I would much rather keep all of those guys over the 4th edge. So my 4th edge is Timon Fox.
So is mine.
And I hope there's some type of bottom of the roster 53 like cut down day waiver claim. The Giants will be high in the waiver claim order this year, so this will obviously change more than it did last year. You remember 2022, the first year, they claimed a ton of guys: Tyree Phillips, Nick McLeod, Jason Pinnock, and Jack Anderson. So I kept Timon Fox as my 4th edge, but I would like that position to be upgraded. Who did you have?
I had Timon Fox and then Boogie Basham as the 5th, but I really don't like Boogie Basham. Like, he doesn't do anything for me.
I don't think he does anything for this defensive play style either.
He is bigger, which I actually... You don't think that there's a chance that with his ability to stop the run and his size that he may actually be, and I'm not saying good, I'm just saying better in this defense than Wink's defense?
No, I think Wink's defense fit him better.
Okay. I was looking at the size factor and that, kind of the edge room doesn't have the same size that edge room had in Tennessee. So really, like I said, like my last three in, Boogie Basham was one of them, and I could easily flip. I don't like only having 4 interior defensive linemen, so I can easily flip that with an interior defensive lineman that I didn't have making the team.
Well, let's talk about defensive tackle then. I have Dexter Lawrence, Jordan Phillips. Those are my 2 starters. Nacho. And then I'm keeping both Jordan Riley and DJ Davidson. Those guys are nose tackles who can slide out and play 3 technique. Those are my 2. So which of those 5 did you keep out?
I kept in Jordan Riley, and then DJ Davidson is out.
Davidson got a good amount of playing time last year, and
he did. They like
some
him.
Good and some bad. I think I just valued having that size in the interior, especially with the Giants' edge room the way it is right now, stopping the run. I valued having that size. But again, it is this defensive tackle group the last 4 years has went to major strength, major weakness, major strength, and then now it's a weakness outside of Dexter Lawrence, right? Where 2021 going into it, you had Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, BJ Hill, Austin Johnson, and then you have Dexter Lawrence and who? Who was the number 2 interior defensive lineman? Or Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, and then Ryder Anderson was getting like playoff, snaps.
Henry Mondeau.
Henry Mondeau. And then last year they had Ashawn and Nacho and with Leonard, and that was a nice group. And then now Jordan Phillips is your starter. Him and Nacho are battling for a starting job.
Yeah, it's full on panic if Dexter Lawrence gets hurt. He ever needs to miss time.
It's a huge panic.
It's over.
Go to the Dexter Lawrence softball game. Linebacker. This is the one where it's tough because at the end of it, I got forced to keep someone I didn't want to keep.
Yeah.
So Okereke and even though McFadden, I'm very interested to see how he adjusts to this scheme, are locks. Darius Muasau, new draft pick, lock, and I think he should be. Honestly, I think he should be inside linebacker 3 on this team. They brought back Carter Coughlin. I'm keeping him for special teams purposes. Isaiah Simmons was my last guy to put in, and I did it reluctantly because I didn't like any of the remaining pool guys. I just don't think he fits in this defense at all. And I know, he's part safety. Okay, well, he doesn't fit in that. He was a perfect fit for Wink Martindale as a gadget player. I just don't see the fit in this defense at all.
Yeah, most of his salary is guaranteed, and there is more dead money to cut him than the money that the Giants would actually save. And that isn't for everybody. Like, you look at Isaiah Hodgins. The Giants could easily cut Isaiah Hodgins, but for whatever reason, and good on Isaiah Simmons for negotiating this, let a lot, $2 million cap hit for Isaiah Simmons this year. I think he stays because he just has played NFL linebacker before versus Muasu. Adams is a special teamer. Coughlin's a special teamer. It seems like Muasu's a special teamer too. So I'm with you where I was tempted enough to look at over the cap to see what does that contract look like for this year, and they could at the end of the day. They could cut him and they wouldn't blink at it. It's not money that you blink at with dead money wise, but I think he stays just because he's played NFL linebacker for now a good amount of time. This is his 5th year.
I think he does too, right? He's the athlete, that you want. They have safety/linebacker on the roster, but that doesn't make you feel any better. I was ready to keep 4 and technically only 3 because Carter Coughlin really doesn't play into the linebacker depth chart. He's a special teams only player. But I was ready to do it. Just okay, I'm keeping this group small. Because there's just not that gadget role for him on this defense. And the down stuff, it's going to ask more of him, and that's when we've seen him be just awful at that linebacker position in Arizona, right? Like he found the perfect fit with Wink Martindale as a gadget player. Really, the only other coach in the league that could do that with is Brian Flores. Because you're just not going to find that role. Yeah, is there going to be some 3rd and 15s where you put him on the field over McFadden? Yes. But it's just, if McFadden goes down and you need someone to start at linebacker, Simmons is not going to give you good production in this defense.
So how many linebackers do you have making it?
5, because Carter Coughlin counts as 1.
I have 6.
6. So you kept Carter Coughlin. Did you put Deontay Johnson in? Because I thought about putting him in too.
No,
Who'd you keep?
Matthew Adams.
Matthew Adams. Oh, okay, you're a Matthew Adams guy. I'm going to remember that.
I mean, they signed him, so
They did do that.
see, he's here, and he's pitched as a special teamer, and one of those. I feel like just usually when those guys come around, they stay and they're here for a reason. So I have basically Mwasu, Matthew Adams, and Carter Coughlin as special teamers, and Coughlin / Adams, like either one of them were my last 3 in. Like I don't want to have 6 interior linebackers and 3 of them for special teams, but I kind of just think that's what's going to happen.
I'm now paying attention to Matthew Adams all summer to see if you can be vindicated on this take. If he makes a 53-man roster, you need to celebrate. Like you need to clip this. Like I called Matthew Adams making the roster when you guys didn't believe. Corner. I feel like this is a position where you're like, I'm keeping 8 guys. I have 6. How many do you have?
I have 6.
Okay, so none of us went over that. So Banks, Flott, Phillips are locks. I think McLeod and Hawkins are reasonable. Like they're gonna make the roster.
Yep.
And then I kept Darnay as the 6. Where are you at with this?
I have the same exact 6.
Did it hurt you to cut Aaron Robinson?
Yes, but also no. Like he doesn't exist. He's a mythical.
I know, but
figure.
you still remember that UCF film. You still remember a little bit of flash in 2021,
the Miami game,
and you remember that he was in line to be he was the starting outside corner, outside position in 2022, and he's disappeared. He's still working with the rehab guys on the Giants offseason
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
We haven't seen him since the Carolina game, week 2. 2022.
Haven't even seen him practice.
Yeah, no, he has not practiced for the New York Giants since Panthers prep of 2022 week 2. He missed all of that rest of the year and missed all of last year. Never came off a pup. So maybe he'll just start the season on pup again. But it did hurt. It did hurt to let go of Aaron Robinson because he'd be a good fit as a nickel corner in this defense. How many times have we said Aaron Robinson's a great fit at nickel corner for this defense? It's just he has not ever been healthy.
Nope.
Even his rookie year, he was injured, came back, injured, came back, injured. So it was in there. And then safety. How many did you keep here? Did you keep 6?
No, I have 5.
Did your roster add up to 53 players?
Actually,
no, I think it did. I
have 26 on defense, 24 on offense, and then 3 special teamers.
So let's see if we kept the same safeties. Tyler Nubin, check.
Yes.
Obviously. Jason Pinnock, check. Obviously.
Yep.
Dane Belton, check.
Yep.
Who's your last 2?
Jalen Mills and Javarius Owens.
Bam! How about that? We agree on the safeties.
I think Mills is sneaky valuable because he has versatility at corner as well, if they need it.
Yeah. We'll see how he looks. He could be another Bobby McCain.
Could be. I think he's better than Bobby McCain.
I actually think Bobby McCain was better than... Oh, you think Jalen Mills is better than Bobby McCain?
Yeah.
I think Bobby McCain was better than Jalen Mills, so how about that? And then Javarius Owens, I cannot let him go. I know he saw 0 defensive snaps last year, but I genuinely liked him as a draft pick. I thought he did well in the preseason, and I'm not letting him go. But he could be a guy who ends up getting cut. New defensive coordinator, 7th-round pick who's never played. He could be a candidate for that. It would hurt me. It's not something I could complain about, but it would hurt me because I do truly love Javarius Owens.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I'm with you on Javarius Owens, but I'll tell you an area where I think Jalen Mills could stick out as a good spot. I think he has good run defense numbers.
Okay.
And that's valuable as a tackler.
Alrighty. So defensively, I had 25 guys. How many did you have?
26.
Okay, so our differences is you kept Matt Adams, and I kept Matt Nelson on offense. You didn't. And you kept Boogie Basham. I didn't keep either of those guys. I kept DJ Davidson. And those are the only 2 differences. Those are the only differences we had on defense. So we're pretty aligned on this. And then special teams. Graham Gano, Jamie Gillian, Casey Kreiter, right?
Yeah, even though I think I have more special teams roster spots allotted more than you do.
Well, let's go through it. I mean, Javarius Owens you could count as a special teams guy. That's all he was last year.
Right.
Coughlin, Olszewski, and are you counting McKenzie as that? Because I have him as like the backup slot receiver, even though he's a special teams value.
And well, that's why I like Isaiah McKenzie for that exact reason, that he is the backup slot receiver, plus he's also the special teamer. I have Tyrone Tracy as a special teamer, but he's also RB2, which is
okay,
nice.
Then you don't, because to me, special teams players are guys like, obviously a lot of guys contribute, but I'm talking like guys who they don't really. You don't think of them on the defensive or offensive.
Okay,
depth
then let me just say the three, because it's Moasu, Matthew Adams, and Carter Coughlin.
Okay, so I have Gunnar Olszewski, and Carter Coughlin in that matter. I view Moasu as someone who can be like a backup linebacker in the NFL.
Okay.
So I guess we kind of have the same three. All right, who was your last 5 in and last 4 out, Justin? My last, or however many. I changed the 5.
3.
My last 5 in were Timon Fox, Jalen Mills, Darnay Holmes. Darnay Holmes was the safest out of these. Matt Nelson, and then Isaiah Simmons was the last person I filled in on this.
All right, my last 3 out were David Long, corner, Matt Nelson, tackle, and then Gunnar Olszewski, wide receiver / punt returner, kick returner. And then my last 3 in were Isaiah McKenzie, because I was basically deciding whether I wanted Gunnar or McKenzie in there. My last 3 in, including Carter Coughlin / Matthew Adams. I count them as like the same human being because they serve the same purpose. And then Boogie Basham. I can honestly flip a coin whether it's Boogie Basham as my final edge or if I put DJ Davidson as my final interior defensive lineman.
Okay. My last 4 out were Boogie Basham. That was probably the toughest one, making a decision between him and Timon Fox. Aaron Robinson, it hurt to keep him on the outside, but we already had that conversation. Jack Stahl, just because I truly did think about it. You know what? I'm not putting Darren Waller on this. And then Jake Kubis as another interior offensive lineman. I know Marcus McKeithen might have been that answer for other people, but at the end of the day, I think Jake Kubis will be on the practice squad, so that was a deciding factor for me. So no Allen Robinson consideration for you.
No.
Sad. He wasn't for me either, but I did put him in the pool. My pool of 19 players was Boogie, Fox, who made it, Benton Whitley, rest in peace, Deontay Johnson, Isaiah Simmons, Darnay, Alex Johnson, Aaron Robinson, Jalen Mills, Timmy Horn, Tommy DeVito. I guess DeVito could have been on my last 4 out. McKenzie, Olszewski, Robinson, Cager. No Cager. You gave some Cager some love on last year. This team for some reason just loves him so much. But I think we were kind of vindicated in our view of backup tight ends last year, and I think the Giants addressed that.
I feel like he barely played. He does have a touchdown catch though.
He's had 2 touchdown catches for the Giants, right?
Yeah, but I know he had at least 1 last year.
Yeah, and he had 1 in 2022 as well against the Texans and both versus Texas teams. So maybe start Cager versus Texas. Hey, and he had 1 call. Oh no, that was Hodgins that had the 1 called back versus Cowboys on Thanksgiving. But he has 1 versus the Texans and the Cowboys. Who did he catch it from on the Cowboys game?
This past year?
Yeah. Should be an easy answer. And there's only 1 Cowboys game where we scored points.
Oh, was it Daniel Jones? No,
Tommy DeVito.
Tommy DeVito. We didn't.
And that was when Shea Tierney took over play calling.
Oh wow, yeah, we didn't score week 1. Remember that?
Yep, we do remember that. We've been scoreless in the last 2 week 1 first halves. All right, we will see you guys next week. Come to the softball game. Please make sure to come say hello. We'll be out and about, go doing everything. So I'm very excited to get up there and see all of you guys. And let us know. Let us know what your last 4 in and last 4 out would be. Let us know what you disagree with, all that good stuff. Appreciate you guys very much. We'll see you then. Until then, let's go Big Blue.